Get it right or stop talking. March 28, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. England is not owned by the Pope because of any agreement between King John and Pope Innocent III in 1213 or at any other time. That is a total misreading of what went on there. King John was a king in France but not in England. In England neither he nor his immediate forebears had any land, which is a requirement of sovereignty. He had no special rank over the Norman barons who were set free and made sovereigns in their own right as part of the Norman settlement. That's why they were able to force the issue of the Magna Carta and lawfully make it stick for 1,000 years. Americans need to learn their own history before they go stumbling around trying to interpret British history, as this present example shows. What happened between John and the Pope was a role reversal. Prior to that, the Church managed the Commonwealth land for the king. After that, the king managed the Commonwealth land for them. And what is Commonwealth land? Originally was scrub and wasteland and gravel and swamp that the kings donated to the Church and which the Church utilized for the support of the sick and poor and indigent. After 1213 King John became the Church's steward, and to this day, Elizabeth II acts in that same capacity with respect to the Commonwealth. If we are talking about Commonwealth property, she works for the Pope and gets paid by the Pope to administer it. This, it turns out, is very important to know, because in America, our territorial government as a British Commonwealth belongs to the Pope, but administered by the Queen, and the municipal United States government is directly operated by the Church. Thus both the remaining federal government subcontractors belong to the Pope, which precludes any notion of any civil war developing here on our shores. The Pope can't fight against himself and maintain any logic or credibility. Another often repeated American know-it-all mistake is the idea that the Act of 1871 seeking to create a municipal corporation for the District of Columbia was the cause of all the evil we have seen since that time. The Act of 1871 was repealed in 1874. The Act of 1871 was repealed in 1874. The Act of 1871 was repealed in 1874. Repeat as often as necessary. Part of the intent of the original Act was implemented in 1878, and in itself, this was no big whoop in that it was a change in business structure for the foreign federal district government and should not have had any effect on us at all. Shouldn't have. In reality, the corporation this created and authorized became a vehicle for improper hypothecation of debt and bankruptcy fraud. It didn't have to be that way, but crooked men in government offices and positions of public trust abused the new corporation to function in ways never contemplated by the framers of our actual factual government. So the Act of 1871 was repealed. And the Act of 1878 that partially reinstated it didn't have to be anything bad or wrong. It was the members of Congress that bent and twisted it and used it for evil purposes and to the detriment of the public good. Now please spread the word, England is not owned by the Pope because of any deal with King John in 1213. And the Act of 1871 was repealed, and the Replacement Act of 1878 was no big deal in and of itself. Everyone got that? The real problem arises out of the Birth Registration Act and all the other oppression coming from that. Please consider making a small donation to help support Anna and the Living Law Firm by visiting the AmericanStatesAssembly.net. Scroll to the bottom and click on the Donate Now button. Thank you. If you enjoy having Anna's latest articles made into videos, please consider making a purchase from Ed's website sacredintuitiveelements.com. Thank you.